November Waterfowl Quest, William Hovey Smith, 2014. On this video, we get started in Washington County, Georgia on a goose hunt on my home ground, and then we go to Butler Island on the Georgia coast, and there we hunt for ducks. Now, I'm William Hovey Smith, and I'm the author of the forthcoming book, Profit, to tell you how to make your fortune. But now, let's get started with our video.
This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman, and we are about to go out and get our Thanksgiving goose. Well, we better be about it, because this is now November the 24th, and I don't have a goose in the freezer yet. It has been very dry here in central Georgia, and although I managed with considerable difficulty to get my boat down to the pond and get my drag path cut out with the help of Will Hamilton, there was only mud. Yeah, that was a tough do. But at any rate, we got the path out there. And all through early teal season, there really wasn't enough water to launch the boat. And Will wasn't about to go out in there and do it again. So, okay. Most recently, we have had about 2 inches of rain. Just in the past couple of days. So finally I got my food plot planted. I got some water on top of the seed. They're in the ground. My roads are clear after last winter's ice storm, which took much of the year to get done. We had huge trees down. And I just yesterday hunted on foot for geese. And so we went back and we walked the entire road, threw out all the stuff. Yeah, the road's clear. I can get my truck back in there. I don't have to take a chainsaw and cut. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, what has happened is the pond I hunt has been one of the few places that still had water in it, and that's good. So the geese are still concentrated in the pond. They've already flown out this morning. So I'm going to go in and set up and then wait for them to start trickling back in, which they will do starting about 10 o'clock or so. Now we've got some usual things and some unusual things to take out there. Goose decoys, of course. Yeah, if you're going to hunt geese, yeah, it helps to have decoys. We have a waterproof top. It's still supposed to be raining a little bit. We're going to be in a boat, so we've got to have a life jacket. Chain the boat up. Sack full of shells, calls, lunch, other goose hunting accessories. The Mossberg 500 here. And this is what I'm going to be using. All right, here. 2 cushions. This one to put my knees on while I'm kneeling in the boat, pulling it through the brush and other stuff. I need it to get to open water so I don't ruin my knees in the bottom of the boat. A dry cushion to sit on. I've shot thousands of pounds of game off this thing, by the way. A marsh seat. Now this is going to go on my next hunt, which happens after Thanksgiving. Zeus barge. What this is a mortar tub. Now this is thicker than the one I've been using, and I reinforce it further with wood and use it to haul out my guns, decoys, shooting accessories, black powder accessories, and so on out to my duck hunting spot. Okay, and we have an extra paddle. Our main paddle did not survive its initial deployment. Nope. As a matter of fact, it broke right here. So what I did was turn down a piece of ash tool handle, insert it from about here to here, glue it in, reinforce it, and so now the paddle is stronger than it ever was. And so we can use this again, and well, these things are not cheap. So we saved, well, probably something over $100 without having to replace it. So now we're going to go down to the pond and see what we can do. Well, thus far things are working out as planned. I have the first load of stuff down and my stealth boat pointed in the right direction. Now looking up the drag path, you'll see a rope connecting two trees. We strung that up earlier because that's the best way to drag this boat into its final resting place or drag it out in this very shallow water. But at least now we have water. Before we had only mud, and I mean that stuff you'd sink into up to your waist. It is slimy, terrible stuff. It ain't quicksand, but it's pretty evil. You're looking at my pre-launch staging area directly behind me, and this is also the start of the drag path where I drag the boat actually down to the water. So we've got gun, yeah, got decoys, yeah, so we're getting closer. We are now officially launched. Yep. Mama, oh, come on. Yep, she is on board. You see the drag path behind us. We're actually floating a little bit. Yep. There you go. Come on, get on your cushion. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That's enough. That's enough. That's all we need to do right now. Let's get out to water. Well, me and Hound Dog made it out of our path all right. Although twice I had to get out of the boat and climb back in by standing and walking along the gunnel. Now, that is one beautiful thing about this stealth boat. It is very stable indeed. There are a few boats indeed where you can go and walk on the gunnel and the boat will not tip over. Wow, this is one of them. It has sort of twin hulls like a catamaran, and that makes it extremely stable.
Obviously can't give you much of this, but can anyone look at that and say there's not an element of beauty in it? Well, after 5 hours, I am getting a I want to go home look from Hound Dog. Yeah. Yeah, it's rainy and it's wet, and we've been out in it, and we haven't seen much. Yeah, all the geese are here, but they're down at the other end of the pond, and with bunched up down there, they're not likelihood to come up here. Yeah. Okay, we're going to pack up and go home. Yeah. Before we leave, you look around, you can see all the green we've got. Even though this is November, you are in the south. And so we still have a lot of green in the marsh. And that's the reason that this camo I'm wearing, which is a hill tree with a lot of green in it, yeah, still works pretty good. Okay, so we're going to gather our stuff and pull out today. Well, the older version of our Zeus barge, well, you can see, has given up the ghost. It first failed there with those holes in the forward corners. And then we have salvaged some pieces of plastic from it. And you can also see where the back had broken out. Well, the new version up on the table right now is of stronger material. It was actually from a company called Tractor Supply. And it is a few mils thicker than the original. So that's good. Now what I have done is taken the hardware from the old and put it on the new, as well as added another longer piece at the front. You can now see the reinforcements. We have a nice clear piece of pine to serve as backing, a piece of oak on the front, that U-shaped join for a pull, as well as 4 eyes. Now 2 are located opposite each other, and the other 2 are located on a diagonal. So this will give us a lot of places to lash down things. So this will be used not only to take decoys out over water, but also to drag hogs and deer back over sandy roads. Actually, it's easier to drag something in this tub than it is to push it with wheels, because every time the wheels hit an obstacle like a root or something, you'll get a very jarring stop, whereas this will just knock up and glide right over. Well, we are duck hunting on Butler Island, and we got blood in the boat. Well, that's not unusual when you're duck hunting, but unfortunately that blood is mine. What I am using is a Mossberg 500 and heavy metal, and that is just too much load for that lightweight gun. It's all right if you're shooting straight away, but if your shot is a bit awkward, as mine was over my left shoulder, yeah, I pretty well busted my nose. And so we had a profuse nosebleed, which I fairly well staunched now, but it's not much good. We happen to draw a blind which is 15, which looks out over a very large expanse of open water that you can see. And I've got my decoys out there in front. Now the state furnishes your boat to get out there. And right over about in there, there are a bunch of coots. And what waterfowl are moving are flying into those coots, which is not an unusual situation. So I'm going to go and see if I can silently move the boat a little closer to them so I can be more nearly on their approach path. If you ever wondered what an ant colony does when it gets flooded out, that's it. They formed a raft, and so they're floating on the surface. I don't know how many ants are in that bunch, but a very, very large number. The top of it is just seething. You know, if you put a boot in that, wow, you just get instantly covered up with thousands of ants. The white object that you can see over to the left is my snow goose decoys. And as you can see, the coot are moving into my decoy set right now. And I'm on the other side of the set, away from where I was originally. Well, here's what I had for a decoy spread. Not very much, as you can see. The unique thing is having the snow goose in the spread out here. And I think it helped. I did have one decoy all the way over here, and then actually I was set up behind it in this point of weeds right there. So actually it was a pretty good set. Having to do it again, I would have set over perhaps a little closer to the road where the coot liked to be, but not knowing any better, no, this was very good. Well, we have concluded our hunt on Georgia's Butler Island. And, well, what do we find out? What do we know? Well, heavy shot here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with heavy shot. We did make 3 very nice kills with it. So the load will work. The problem is, there's also nothing wrong with a Mossberg. Mossberg does just fine. It is just not heavy enough for this stout of load. What I'm going to do with it is to add some beeswax and lead shot back here in the butt cavity to increase its weight by a full pound. Then I'll be able to shoot it with about an 8-pound gun, because that's what this load needs to be shot out of if you're going to shoot a fixed breech gun. All right. Now, what did we get? We got 3 fine coot. Coot? Yeah! Coot! Like some people say I am. Well, what happened was we weren't able to get any ducks, so I finally was able to move around a bunch of coots with the hope they would draw some waterfowl in, and in fact they did. And in fact they drew in more coot, not unexpectedly, and so I shot 3 coot. Now what's going to happen to these? You know, I eat coot? Yeah, I do. And I even have a YouTube video about coot soup and the dregs of old wine on New Year's Day. But these particular coot, they're going to get breasted out and braised over charcoal. And with a little marinade on them, yeah, you're going to eat them that way. You
You know what? These things have the biggest gizzards of all waterfowl. They're this big around. Yeah, they really are. So we're going to have gizzards, and we're going to have skent coot breast. Yum, yum. Woof.
Here are coot breast, gizzards, and fingerling potatoes on the grill. And these turned out to be real good. Now here is the recipe written out. And if you want to read it, go ahead and stop the frame about now. Now I am the author of the forthcoming book, Profit. Now Profit tells you how to use your native creativity to start what might well be your own $1 million or your own $1 billion business. And I have video 1 up right now, and video 2 will follow very shortly. Now, the skinned and grilled coot are actually better eating than most diving ducks and are on a par with mallards once the coot fat is removed. For information on my blogs and more than 375 videos, go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.